What's up, dude? How are you?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me, dude.
Yeah, man. We've known each other a while now. I guess. I don't know, man. I'm trying to remember where we met at.
I think that was back like when we were doing the prepared meal stuff.
Yeah.
That was like 10 years ago, which is hard to believe, but that was 2015.
Yeah.
And I think you were just starting to do some marketing stuff.
Yeah. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's 2015. That's a decade.
I know, dude. 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the first time we sit down and actually had a conversation. I guess out of just business dealings,
Right.
I think, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, man, it's life happened. That's what we were just saying. Like COVID life in the middle of that really threw a wrench in everything for just life in general.
Yeah.
It did. But hey.
Yeah, it's mixed up. Well, your industry for sure. I mean, dude, the things that your industry has went through since that, but
Yeah.
even predating that, so tell me how you got into the culinary world. I guess let's just start from the beginning.
Yeah. So, man, I cooked in college. I knew I liked it. I grew up cooking, loved it. Cooked in college is like just for some extra cash. It's like I definitely can't do this for a living, but it's fun to make some cash, and I enjoyed it. So I was like, great. Graduated, worked in politics for 5 years, hated it.
Really? What did you do in politics?
I worked for the U.S. Senate.
I didn't know that.
And when I say
happen?
hated, I learned a lot, but at the same time, it was like, it's just grueling. I mean, you don't get anywhere with anything. You can care a lot about what you're working on, but bureaucracy is going to stop it.
Yeah.
No, like you can see the solution. You can say, hey, this is what we're doing. This is how we're going to make this better. And it doesn't matter because in the end, it ends up being whoever's in office, whoever's in power. If it's not what they want, it doesn't matter if it fixes the problem, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that was it. So it was really frustrating. So I got out, moved back here 2011 or 2012, somewhere in there, 2011. And a buddy of mine was working at Maxwell's Market. He was a manager cutting meat over there. So I learned how to cut meat with him, and I just helped out, help do some catering stuff. And that's when I got the idea. The market was kind of open. Not many people were doing a lot of catering at the time for events, in-person catering. Yeah. So I started doing that, and it was a pretty dumb move because I did not know much about what I was doing, but I learned on the job, and I way undercharged and overworked myself for a year or so, and then got a little bit better at it. And I don't know, man. I'll say this, for not having any experience in catering, the fact that survived was just sheer determination to not let it fail. I mean, for real. There was not any. I had so much growing pain and so much learning curve that it was just I just didn't want to lose.
Yeah, you were all in.
Yeah. I mean, financially, I was all in.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I was like, I can't not have this work out. So just kept pushing forward. And that's the story of how I got here.
Yeah.
In a very, very summed up way.
Well, so let's talk about what you're doing now, what you recently having the new restaurants open and what that looks like. And also you're in such a niche market, how's that battle been, in this area?
All right. So I think, I get it. And these were passion projects, and I typically have been very utilitarian about how I approach projects, right? Like the catering, I knew what to do in a roundabout sense, and there wasn't as many people in the market, and it was a low barrier of entry. I was like, cool, I can get started in this. I literally started from my parents' kitchen, and then outgrew that quickly, and then got a space, started growing, and then that opened up the opportunity for all the other kind of, again, utilitarian decisions, right? The valet parking, there was only one other person in town doing it, and I had a business that already had clients that had parties. Boom. So I partnered up with a guy that was actually helping run the other one, and a buddy of mine I played football with in high school. So we started that. The meal prep, I met Jacob at Cohab at a 1 million cups thing, and he's like, hey, no one's really doing this right now. And so we were kind of the first one. Into 2014, we're the first ones in the market to do healthy meal prep for folks working out.
Right.
Same with the bakery. Not a lot of scratch bakeries in town at the time. So yeah, I kind of always just made the decisions based on, hey, this is what's open in the market, and I have either this skill set or this property or this equipment already that's tooled for it, this staff that's already tooled for it. Cool.
Gotcha.
Let's add that into what we do. And it was not that I didn't care about those businesses, but it wasn't, this is what I've always wanted to do.
Yeah, right.
So I'm going to, like, a lot of people think that, like, I must have grown up decorating cakes and making big, beautiful cinnamon rolls. And I was like, no, I really didn't have a sweet tooth until I had to taste cookies every day to see if they're exactly where we wanted to be. Right.
Yeah.
And so that is what it is. These restaurants are different. I was consulting for the last, 2013, beginning of 2014, and I was consulting out in this space, and the opportunity came up. Some partners were getting out, some partners wanted to stay in, and I was kind of the person that was there that had the know-how, and they're like, what you think? And so we put together a deal that I learned a whole lot about the purchasing process, buyout process, and negotiating that. I've done some that were very simple.
Yeah.
This was not. This was so many ins and outs. And you had three different parties. I mean, you had people that are existing partners and they're looking at it from an angle of like, well, I'm also going to be partners on this side. And then there's me who's an outside party. And then there's the guys getting out, and everybody's trying to get that win-win-win scenario.
Yeah. That's hard. That's hard.
And that is hard. I lost a lot of sleep over that, like trying to figure it out. Cause I genuinely learned what people say when they say the spirit of the deal. Like, that's what I focused on. Like, the spirit of the deal was that, hey, you're not going to get everything you want. No one is. So,
but we can all walk away from here happy.
What do you have to walk away and feel like you didn't get the wool pulled over your eyes?
Yeah.
And so that was months of working that out, rewriting plans, rewriting these long-term waterfall projections for investors. I mean, because it was in depth, and I learned a lot through that process. But all that to say, it allowed me to do these two restaurants because these are the things that I wanted to do. It's what I want this to be the thing that embodies who I am as a person and as a chef, right? It wasn't based 100% on just, it's a good idea, it's the right time. It was, I think that this is going to establish who I am in this industry.
Yeah.
So 2 of them, May and Company, casual oyster bar, a little bit elevated as far as like, we just add a little bouginess to what we do, but it's not overthought. It's still down home Southern cooking. It's, Louisiana food. It's fun. It's a fun atmosphere. It's chill. And honestly, so I named that after May, and May is the woman that helped raise me.
Okay.
And she taught me how to cook. She was a short order cook, at nighttime, and then helped my parents with us during the day. And so she taught me like all the basics of like making breakfast. Like, so I could make breakfast in elementary school. Like, I could make eggs, hash browns, bacon, sausage, grits, biscuits. I could do all that as a kid, but that's because I loved it.
Yeah.
And then taught me to learn, as I grew up, learned a little more about the staples, doing fried chicken, that type of thing. So it was it was important to me that she was honored for that, because she had such a big impact on, like, she's the type of person that her food makes you feel love.
Yeah.
And I want that to be I wanted that to set the tone of what we were. I want you to come in our place, I want you to eat, and I want you to be like, these people care about me. Like, this food made me feel cared for.
Yeah,
It made me feel taken care of, and that's what I want. And then the other side, Heron, is really where I've worked my career in food. I wanted to be able to finally highlight that in one place, like from the finer side, right? The plated dishes and everything. I've worked on the tools that I've built over the last decade. I wanted that to show off, like, at that place. And I wanted to do it in an atmosphere that really is what I want to, what I would want to go do if I was going out to a nice dinner. You know, I want the staff to be, I want them to be proper, but I want them to be caring and warm and attentive. And my staff has nailed that. Like, and everyone leaves. It's the number one thing people talk about when they leave. They're just like, your staff is so awesome. They're like, they're so professional, but yet they're so like warm and fun. And I was like, thank you. that's our vibe. That's what we want over here. And it's elegant, but it's still, it's a little playful. And that's how I am. I mean, like, I think, I think a lot of my kitchen jokes, they're like, you're just first class trash, baby. Like, but in a sense that, like, I don't like anything to be stuffy. I don't. I want it to be really nice, but I don't want anyone to not feel welcome. I don't want it to feel like we're trying too hard. And we fortunately, with the design, the layout, the look, the people, the food, like, I can't be more happy with how it's come out.
Well, tell me what that looks like on the fine dining side. Like how have you designed these menus? Are you rolling stuff out constantly? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so we print our menus daily.
Okay.
We have a paper menu. It's pretty cool. It's a legal sheet cardstock. It's folded over, so when you see it, it just says Heron down one side, and I got a little wax seal with a Heron stamped in it.
Nice.
You break the seal open, and it's got a date. We stamp the date on every menu, so that's the date. This is the day you're here. A lot of people, especially for birthdays and anniversaries, are like, "Can we take it with us?" Like, yeah,
that's awesome.
Sure.
Yeah.
Take it with you.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had people ask me to sign them. I've had people ask my staff to sign them for them, just because it was part of an experience. And I was like, yeah, I love that. I think that's great. Take it home and keep it with you. Something to, a little calling card to remember us by next time you're going through paper and throwing stuff out. Be like, oh, that was a great meal. So that's really that's the menu side for us. As far as how we structure it, we're a shared concept kitchen. So I have my smash burgers and oyster po' boys going out next to $90 steaks and $60 plated like pieces of. We're running a dish right now. It's triple tail with a coriander coconut cream and blistered confit carrots. Like, it's just so. But it's funny because it's literally in the window, and I'm it's like, can you add fries on this? I'm like, can you add a nice little drizzle of parsley oil right here? And a couple extra microgreens. So it's funny to see them both go out. But that being said, we had to be very streamlined, and it had to be a process that made sense for the guys that we have. And they are extremely hardworking guys. They're very passionate about what they do. Very few of them have any fine dining experience.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That was not in their wheelhouse at all. So I think when I first plated up dishes, they were like, "We can't. We're not gonna be able to do this."
Yeah.
It was intimidating.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think what they realized though is that, like, everyone's in a kitchen. It is teamwork. We're all part of this streamlined process. You do your job well, and then the next person will do their job well, and then at the window we'll finish it off well, and we'll make it look right, and then it composes a great dish, as opposed to you don't have to look at that and be like,
I think you have to do all of that. Yeah.
So I think we invented a lot of our process. I like to learn from people. I very rarely stay in molds. Like, I like to learn something that's cool. Like, but I'm going to think it through on, like, okay, how can I make it mine, and how can I make it particular to me? Because I just, I don't know. I didn't do the formal training in restaurants. I didn't have that experience there. So it's not like I was copying what I learned somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's just little bits and pieces. And honestly, our staff, like, especially our kitchen crew, they brought in little things from here and there. Like, I had a guy that, he worked at Hooters, and, like, the way they did production on wings, I was like, man, this really applies to X, Y, and Z for us, and I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Easy. Like, let's do it. Let's implement it. And I had someone else that really had a great idea for how we were going to store things to make them easier to access. And we put it in. And these are guys that are, they're it's the food industry. They're not making a ton of money, but they still, like, they care about what they do. They want it to be good food, and they care about making us better and us having a good product to put out to people. And that's awesome.
Yeah, man, that's something that's rare too, because typically, especially in fine dining, but restaurant, if you're going in, you have these, hey, this is how we're going to do it. We're not going to change,
Yeah.
And it limits you to it limits your creativity too. Not only production, but creativity,
Absolutely. And if there's anything else when I leave this earth, I hope people at least remember that I thought outside the box.
Yeah.
I hope no one looks at me as like, he kind of played it safe. I was like, I know I kind of did everything my way, and people were gonna like it or they weren't. So,
well, tell me about this daily menu things. That's interesting to me because I've never been to a restaurant. I mean, I've seen that there's a lot of fine dining establishments in other areas that have that,
right?
But I've never been. Like, how does that work? Do you cycle things in, like, because it's got you have so much. Like, what happens if that product? You know what I mean? If you have all this product and then it doesn't go out that, like, what does that look like?
Well, yeah, I mean, like that's a big part of just restaurant ownership, right? I mean, ordering it right, getting your margins right, and that's what makes or breaks.
And then you have these high scale items too, you know. So
and you don't want to waste protein. So there are staples. We have things that are going to be on the menu,
right?
But because we've got about 26 printed menu items, and then we do our desserts by spoken. I don't have them printed. I literally have my my wait staff sell the dessert every night.
Nice.
I was like, that's how you do it. And I was like, because I can get excited reading something. I'm going to be more excited if I listen to you.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, like, that's why specials sell. Specials sell because someone took the time to describe to you exactly how this dish was. And if you care remotely about the product, especially after they just tasted it, and they're like, this is legit.
Yeah.
You know? So I know that they're going to be like, and chef just let us taste this, and it's this, and this. It's so good. So that's how we do our desserts. And honestly, compared to national average, we sell more desserts than the national average by far.
Really? Mm-hmm. And did you take a lot from what you did previously at the bakery and kind of implement some of those ideas, or is it? No,
it's a little it's a little different style.
Okay.
Yeah, we lean a little bit more into French stuff.
Got you.
You know, and it's just because they did it right. You know, quite honestly, I mean, like, if you go to Paris and go eat dessert, you're not going to be very happy with dessert anywhere else for a long time.
Yeah.
Guilty.
Yeah.
Did it. And that was after owning a bakery.
Yeah.
I was still like, I can't replicate that.
Yeah.
Because that's all these people do. Like, they are born into these bakery families and they start working in pastry when they're young, and then they take over for their parents. And that's why you have these 7 generations in pastry houses in Paris. And that's life. Right?
Yeah.
And the goal is to sell out. And that's another thing I'll gripe about later. But the goal is to sell out. The goal is I'm going to get up here at 3 a.m. I'm going to make all this beautiful stuff. And by 1 o'clock, I'm closing.
Yeah.
And no one's going to be mad about it. Everyone's going to be like, it must be good. I'm going to have to go. I'll come back early.
Got there earlier. Yeah.
Right? So that's how the dessert program's rolling. But as far as, when we talk about nailing down the quantities, I mean, yeah, sometimes we'll come up with something and be like, you know what, we either A, we don't love it, or B, guests are like, it's good, have you thought about? And then we take that feedback.
That's important too. That's important. There's so much ego in the restaurant industry, man.
It's brutal.
And it's so stupid because at the end of the day, you're serving them. They're not serving, like,
I know.
So why wouldn't you take feedback?
I know. And it's a fine line because we do work hard to accommodate as much as possible. Some things I do have to tell people, like, I know you want that side with this protein, but they just don't.
They don't pair well.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. They at your house they might, but this dish doesn't. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to put mashed potatoes with whatever. You know what I mean?
It's like, I don't want you to walk out of here thinking you had a bad meal because we put the wrong things together because you asked us to.
Yeah.
So we are, but my staff, I just tell them, like, look, if they want to, just ask. Like, me and my sous chef, and honestly my kitchen, we can all tell you, like, yeah, we can make that work, or honestly that's not going to jive. Like, they're not going to like this, and I just would rather not. So we try to walk that line, really, that fine line. But yeah, we get the feedback. We understand, like, all right, hey, maybe this is not going to be the thing that this is, and so we'll sometimes turn around and, like, I've changed one the next day and just made it a completely different dish. So it was already the stock that we had purchased to start running through this one thing, and just redid our components, redid how we arranged it, redid the touches and seasonings, and they loved it. And it's been on the menu, So that's I think if you don't have that flexibility, man, like, that's got to be hard. I can't imagine not having the flexibility to really do that, and especially when chefs put out these new menus and they're just like, well, I'm living and dying by this because I spent $30 printing every one of these menus.
Yeah.
And we, like I'm $2,000 in on these menus. We're running this for 6 months.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm just like, oh, no, that gives me anxiety.
Yeah,
like,
no, dude. Yeah, especially if it doesn't take, because you don't know. Sometimes.
Well,
you
exactly.
Don't know.
Sometimes, and look, that's the thing is, I can love it. My sous chef can love it.
Yeah.
My manager can love it. But people could be like, well, you three do not know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
This is not our thing. Yeah, I mean, we got a good idea. I'm not putting out anything that's going to be like too crazy, but at the same time, sometimes we take a risk and it doesn't pay off. And I think that's a small microcosm of how I feel about business stuff. You take a risk and it doesn't always pay off.
For sure. How's it been like receptive wise as far as like the market here? Because the market here is interesting, and
it is.
When I say here, for people listening or watching who aren't from here, I mean like the Northwest Louisiana market,
right?
Because it's very unique. You can go anywhere else and it's almost like hard to duplicate it here. I really can't compare it to anywhere else. But how's that been like putting in? Of course, May and Co. I would assume would take pretty easy because you have
it's a lot more approachable,
right? You have a lot more staple things where it's like Southern home cooking and Cajun and stuff like that, but. What is that? How has that been, that process?
I figured out because I took some big swings way early on in my career where I was like, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to do this. I saw this and it was this molecular gastronomy stuff in Spain. And people are going to love this. They did not. They definitively did not love it. So I was like, okay, all right. So like Shreveport Bossier. Edge of the box, right? Like I don't have time to educate every diner about what my process is and what I was thinking when I did this and how I did it. Like I can't always do that for every single dish. So I need to make it something where it incorporates something they're comfortable and familiar with and then push it a little bit, right? And so like I consider like my style for Shreveport Bossier of approaching things is I push it to the edge of the box. We're not going to go outside the box. But we're going to push it to the edge.
Gotcha.
And we're going to leave it there. And that's where we're going to be happy. I mean, I think that we've got stuff. We have the capability and the talent with some of our crew to do really extraordinary things. But that's not what this place is about. That's a different time for a different thing. That's a special dinner we want to do one night just to do it.
Right.
But it's not who we are and it's not what we're going to build our identity on. And because we're not in a market that supports that.
Yeah.
And it just is what it is.
And I think it's more than anything, it's just quantity. Like a lot of markets that have a lot of those options have a lot more people. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And a lot more expendable income. You know what I mean? And it just is what it is. You know? So it's very hard to, it's nothing, we have a great market. It's nothing against our market. I'm just saying it's very unique in that aspect that there's a high quantity of people, but there's
we just have some limitations.
Yeah,
and you got to be respectful of that as a business owner.
Yeah,
and not think that you know exactly how it needs to be done. And
or
if they don't like it,
or just because you work somewhere else, that's going to work here.
Also,
you see that a lot. You know what I mean?
Also,
yeah.
I don't like the copy and paste mentality sometimes of this city, because it just floods us with like a lot of copies of stuff, and it's like we don't know like. Do your thing. I know you see it. I know it worked for them, but all you're doing is watering down their market and now yours, or your potential customer base.
Yeah.
And it's like that gets a little frustrating. And I'm positive that happens everywhere. I'm sure it's not just Shreveport.
No, I'm sure. No, I mean, it's one of those things where, man, it's very interesting because you'll say that to someone outside of here and they're like, what are you talking about? Like, you just got to be here, man.
Yeah.
You just got to live here for a little while.
For
sure. See, it's a very big town. It's very small.
Yeah.
When it comes to things like that. And I think it's just, like I said, one of those things where it's a quantity of numbers thing. And sometimes there's limitations there. But yeah, man, I think it's pretty cool. I got to come eat there because I haven't yet. And honestly, that's just because we've been so inundated here with stuff and then getting through the holidays, but you know how catering is through the holidays and stuff.
I get it.
And then full-fledged marketing taking off at the beginning of the year. It's like, dude, I got to just get to the south of town. I haven't even gotten that far. I literally haven't gotten 5 miles from here,
We'll have a seat for you, dude.
Yeah, dude.
No worries. But that's and everything's good in the world of barbecue and everything?
Barbecue's great, man.
That's fun.
Are you interested in judging a competition?
Yeah.
Cool.
When?
I was going to ask you. March 8th. Are you available?
I don't
putting you on the spot right now.
No, I don't think
it's
I
a
have
Saturday.
A
It would eat up half of your Saturday, but it wouldn't cut into your like dining hours.
No, that's fine.
But yeah, we have a huge event coming on down here. We did it last year, like to grand reopening of the stage they do every year. We implement that with a huge barbecue competition. We had, 1,800 people here last year.
That's awesome.
Just trying barbecue, hanging out, $5. They can try as much barbecue as they want.
That's
and
great.
This year we're going to do it again, but I'm hoping to have. I think I had 15 teams last year. I'm hoping to have 30 teams this year.
That's awesome.
And so all those guys will get to do a people's choice dish, so they can make whatever they want.
Right.
And then they also have to turn in the staples, the chicken, the rib, and the brisket. And then judges will try it. And then so you'll get a people's choice award for whatever your signature dish was.
Yeah.
There's also a dessert category. There's also a sauce category.
Nice.
So pretty excited about that, dude. I have more fun. Like barbecue for me, like the catering stuff is great, but I think once it become it was a hobby for so long and then become a business.
Yeah.
And it's cool. And we do the prep stuff too, so that stuff's cool. But the competition, I get to kind of just sit back and not worry about actually cooking and can focus on what all these other people are doing. And honestly, listen to them, talk to them, take stuff. Hey, that's a good idea. I didn't think about that.
Right.
Look at this. Like
that's my favorite part. So I've been the F&B director for Cattahoula Wine Mixer for like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, and that's become really big, man.
It's gone great.
What's the date? That's coming up too.
March 28th and 29th.
Okay, cool.
One of the main things I love is it's not about the pressure's not on me to put that out myself. It is pressure, but it's a different type of pressure. Yeah. But I get to work with a lot of different chefs, and I like get in. One of my favorite things about these wine festivals is when it's done, because all the chefs just hang out. We just, and I think this year I'm super pumped because, now I got a place to bring them all back to. Y'all just come back to the restaurant. Yeah. Right. So we already kind of talked through it. Friday night it's a little more formal dinner, so we'll do the after party for guests and chefs at Heron, and then on Saturday after the actual mixer, we'll do the after party for everybody at May & Co. So it'll be fun. Because I've known a lot of these chefs. A lot of them local, and then some from out of town. Known them for years, and honestly, most of us work on the weekends and nights and stuff.
Yeah,
so
you can't really.
There's not a whole lot of hangout time.
No, that's what sucks about it, man.
So when we make that intentional time to take off and go hang out, it's pretty awesome.
That's what people don't understand. In the catering restaurant, the food, there's a lot of glamour in it from the outside looking in, but when you're in it, there's not that much glamour.
Nope.
Man. It really isn't. It's all about getting that out, and then it consumes your entire every weekend.
Dude, last Saturday night, about 11:15 p.m., me and my sous chef, because life happens, staff illnesses happen. We were both buried in the dish pit, for a good hour and a half.
Yeah.
And that is after a long week and a long service, a very busy service. And it's there's no glamour in doing that. You're already exhausted.
And then you're leaving at 1 a.m. or whatever. Gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. I got home at 1:30. My wife, after my wife was like, "I'm gonna kill you if you aren't here in the next 30 minutes." Yeah. I was like, "You got it. Come on. I'm on the way." So yeah, it's not glamorous, but it is. It's if you love it, you love it.
There's fulfillment, and when someone takes a bite of something, they're just like, "You made this."
Yeah.
You made this.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And then, so what does it look like? So back to May & Co. How are you operating that? What you said you saw that. Give me some examples of some of your staple items there.
So obviously our raw oyster program is really important to me. So we always have Gulf oysters and at least one type of East Coast oyster. Most of the time when they're available, where it's a little colder water, we get up to Prince Edward Island, that type of stuff, and they're phenomenal.
I've never had any of those.
Dude, they're small. They're smaller. They are super browny, little salty boys. Mm-hmm. They're so delicious. And then we also try and bring in West Coast regularly, from California or Oregon. There's some really great oysters out there too. They're all very different. The West Coast almost kind of take on a melon type flavor.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And they're all great. They're all just very different. And one of the things I love about that is that I kind of parlayed my experience making hot sauces, doing some consulting, And so I have like custom hot sauces and infused vinegars for those.
Nice.
So like when you order oysters through us, like we bring them to your they're shucked, like get them to the table. You're going to get 2 craft hot sauces and 2 craft infused vinegars, your saltines, like mix and match. And that's what I want people to do is like, hey, play around with it. Like add 2 drops of the hot sauce, 3 of the vinegar, see what you think about it. Like then mix it up, try different hot sauces. So it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah. So just putting Tabasco on everything.
Yeah. Right. And that's the thing. It's like, there's just a lot more flavor opportunities out there. So it's been cool to work with that. And then, we do that. We do a traditional po' boys. I do a Akiushi beef debris po' boy that's fire. So it is.
Yeah, that sounds badass.
We do the beef cheeks. We do it almost a traditional beef bourguignon type recipe. Okay. So we're seasoning, searing, throwing in a French mirepoix of carrots and celery and onion and herbs, deglazing in red wine, finishing off with a little beer and a little beef stock and wrapping them, popping them in. And they just are like, so it's like traditional beef bourguignon, but then we throw it on a po' boy we do a little house chili aioli we spread on the bottom of the po' boy bun. That lettuce, tomato, it's fire. It's a really good one.
Dude, I don't even eat sandwiches. That sounds badass. That sounds great, dude.
Well, if you don't like that, if you want something else unhealthy.
Well, I just I just don't eat a lot of bread, dude, but I enjoy if it's put together like that, instead of just traditional meat, cheese, and, call it a good. That's cool, but that's not what I want.
Yeah. So doing that, we actually did start doing wings with our own house flavors. So we make all of our own sauces in house. Nice. We got, we had the market opened up for wings down there. And so there wasn't anyone doing them. So at the time, so as of January, we launched it, and it's actually been crazy. I love wings.
Me too. I can eat them. I literally had them for dinner last night.
Oh, good. Come out there, dude. Y'all need to come out there and try them out because they are really. I'm super pumped with how they came out. I really am.
So you can, awesome. It's crazy that you can roll all that out of there, and then right next to it, those other things. Like what is? So
I'll send you. All right, so I'm actually taking the evening off tonight. This weekend, I'm going to send you a picture of when the window's full, so you can see it because it's really comical. We laugh at it every time because it's literally a mound of beautiful sautéed mussels and these nice pieces of fish and po' boys and burgers and tall stacks of onion rings and fries piled up.
What's that? So is that Manco? So what's that look like opening and stuff? So you can that way you can get your plugs and
So Manco's open and we're Tuesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. till close, which is normally around 9. And if people are still there hanging out drinking after 9, we normally don't kick them out. If y'all want to stay for a little bit longer, stay for a little bit longer. I was like, as long as y'all don't mind us cleaning up around you. Have another beer. We'll let you know when you need to go. We'll hit the lights when you got to get out.
Hell yeah.
And then we're open Sunday brunch for 11 to 2:30. So we do a little modified brunch menu. It's not a huge
How's that
brunch.
been? Because I feel like the brunch market is here for the taking, man. There's not that many opportunities.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. It draws in a different crowd that we really don't see other times. And that's kind of what I like about it. And it's exposed us to some folks that literally were like, had we not seen you do brunch, we wouldn't have known about this place, and we wouldn't have known about the nice place you have next door. And we've had a lot of crossover fans where they are excited and heard about one that came to it, and they're like, wait, what's that?
Yeah.
So that's cool. But yeah, those are the hours for Manco, and then Heron is just nights. It's 5 till, again, 9 or 10, and that's Tuesday through Saturday.
Got you. Okay.
So it takes a little more energy to run that one, a little more.
Well, yeah, but still,
manpower.
Even having that open during the week's nice too, because a lot of times, your industry, mine, same thing. I can't. Yeah. We can't do much on the weekends, so I'm trying to find somewhere to do something nice during the week.
We're Tuesday through Saturday, 5 to 9 over there, and really, for me, it all became about if I'm gonna have people there doing something, then let's figure out how to be open.
Yeah.
Right. Well. I mean, it's like if I've got bodies here and y'all are working on something. How do I not just lose money by you being here?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's kind of how that schedule came to be. And
what's the spirits look like? Because that's what I really get excited.
Yeah. So I think you'll be very impressed with that. So I don't know if you know Shalom. So Shalom's Sahile is our bar manager. Okay. He had been at Frank's Louisiana Kitchen for 7 years prior. So he ran that bar. He was comfortable with that bar. That's his domain, so it felt good and it felt right. He also was very willing to say, hey man, this is your thing. Let me work with you to help you make it, like make that reality. And so he stuck with me on a very appreciative. I handle all the wine. That's my thing.
Yeah.
And because realistically, as a chef, what I want to do is I want to be able to say, hey, if you pick any of these dishes, I want to tell you a wine that you should get with it.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's important to me. So I curated the wine list for both sides. He's curated a lot of the booze, and he's very good at it. And we picked up some other really strong folks. I think out of 6 bartenders that we have between the 2 places, 4 have been in bar management somewhere in town.
Gotcha.
We've got a very strong team, and it's same with our wait staff. I mean, like, we have really strong people. I think that they understand my Emma, work hard, play hard type of guy. Like, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be next to you. I'm going to hustle, but we're going to get it done.
Yeah.
And we can, like we do, I will say, I let them, everyone you get a shift drink on me at the end of every shift. Like, I'm not going to make people pay for that. Like, you can have a cold beer, or like, you're going to leave this top shelf alone. But
yeah, right.
You want a well drink or a beer, a glass of wine. Let's do it, and let's just chill out for a second and then call it a night. So
that's what a lot of people don't understand about the industry either. And I didn't really pick it up. I didn't pick it up as much because I've never worked in a restaurant.
Right.
But I just went from barbecue to all this catering and just a lot of high volume. When you get done, dude, a drink is phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's like the best drink. You're like, I remember like the first hard one we had, it was me and my wife, and I don't know if anyone else was with us, but I just remember looking at everybody like, man, now I know what they're talking about.
Right.
Now I know all these guys, like, after they get done, they want a damn drink, or they go out for another hour or 2 and drink after everything closed, because you got to decompress.
And that's exactly it, man. I think you, like, in either scenario, because I felt the same way about catering too, man. But like, your brain, if you think about, especially either that peak time of, if it's for you at catering, like from 6 to 8, like, your brain doesn't stop.
No, and
you're constantly making pivots. Boom, grab it, go. Boom, like in this, obviously, in restaurants, exact same way. I mean, for 2 or 3 hours, you are constantly making pivots, and there's no way for your brain to just shut down. No. You can't just be like, all right, hey, cool, we're done.
There's no cruise control or anything.
No. And so honestly, I think that's why a lot of folks in our industry do have that cocktail afterwards.
For sure.
So that's kind of what it is, man. And because I can do that. I can have my tequila, my ranch water.
Yeah,
that's my, like, after a shift, I get a single ranch water, enjoy it, go home, and then I can still sit on the couch for another 2 hours and be like, come on, let's go, shut it down, And it's just like, it's a lot. I think everyone else thinks, like, when you get off at work at 5, you don't go to sleep at 6:30.
No.
So it's kind of irrational to think I'm going to get off at 11 and be asleep by 11:30.
That's the difference. And then have to come right back and open it, have the doors open at 9,
right.
And then the kitchen going by 10, 10:30.
Nonstop, man. Nonstop.
It's a grind, dude. I respect you for it, and I'm excited. Like I said, I've been wanting to get you in here, and I'm excited to come down there and check it out too. And I think that I'm excited that these things, people like you and other, people that I've spoken to that are starting these things here and bringing these things here to where you don't feel like you got to say, oh man, there's nothing to do here, I got to go to Dallas, because that was always the conversation. Even for the longest time, that's what I was planning on doing, was just getting out of here.
Yeah, I get it.
But doubling down here feels so much better, especially when everyone's working together and everyone wants everyone to succeed. There's not this rat race where everyone's talking shit on each other and not wanting, this, don't go there because of this. No, man, go everywhere. You know what I mean?
Right.
Go everywhere.
No, exactly. I mean, share the love, keep going out there, keep trying new things. And look, at the end of the day, if I'm supportive of other people and I work hard to make sure my product is where it is, that's all I've got to do. That's all I can do.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not missing out on anything. In my younger days, I would get real fired up about, like, competition.
For sure.
And it's like, what did that achieve?
Exactly.
Like, I got worked up. They still have people in their parking lot, and all I did was get get pissed and achieved nothing. I was like, this is ridiculous. So finally, I gave kids helped with that too. I had other things to worry about.
Grounded a little bit. You don't get worked up as much. What has it been like to be like almost like a destination too? Like, what does that feel like to have people in other markets come here now for your stuff? Because that's something that you haven't seen a lot in this area.
Right.
Either, you know?
It's been pretty awesome, man. I mean, I feel very fortunate. I'm glad that, from a, from marketing, from a branding standpoint, I was fortunate early on to understand being a chef was cool, and I took advantage of that brand. And I pushed that brand, and I pushed myself to constantly be expanding my own brand as well as the businesses. Mm-hmm. And I think that gave me a better reach, and I was able to reach into some other places that, to pull people in from, 30 to an hour away to come try food. And that's awesome. We've had groups from Monroe and Ruston and Tyler and up from Natchitoches. I mean, that's really cool feeling, right? Like, I've been happy to be a motivator for that. And I hope that those people understand I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
Like, there is a lot of other great stuff in this town, on both sides of the river. Yeah. We got good stuff here. We got stuff that's worth coming for. So, I mean, if I can be a small part of that, awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I like it.
Because it's just going to help me out in the long run. We grow this market, make it bigger, keep making it bigger, then
we don't have to have that conversation anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That conversation that's been looming forever.
Right.
Well, anything, last plugs or anything you want to shout out or anything we didn't talk about?
No, I mean, honestly, man, as far as shout outs for me, all my staff, they're top notch. My wife for dealing with all my BS. And my 4 and 6 year old for riding the ride.
There you go.
But I appreciate being here, and I hope anyone that's listening, y'all come out.